Why?
Okay, let's talk about milk. Where does it come from? We get a cow, we feed the cow food and we get water, and then from the cow we get milk. The milk goes in a truck, the truck makes its way over to a dairy plant. And here's what's happening inside that dairy plant. First, we receive that raw milk. And then before we do anything with that raw milk, we're going to separate it. And this thing is like a centrifuge. And what it's doing is separating our cream from our skim. And then what we're gonna do is recombine all that into the many different milks that you can get at the store. So skim up at the top, that's something that is about 1/4% fat. And then we also make 1%, we make 2%, we make whole, which is about 3.25%. We say whole because that's about the fat level that cow's milk is at normally. So we could sell it as whole milk, it's 3.25%. We could also sell it as half and half, or like creamer, or as whipping cream, which is about 36% fat, or going through a couple extra steps of churning, we can make butter. And then butter is about 80%. So now that we've got these different milks, they all follow the same, well, okay, not the butter. So whoop, there's. All right, all of these milks, their next step is to go through the homogenizer and pasteurizer. So that's what we got over here. So I'm gonna come back a little ways. What you see here is depicted 3 boxes depicting a pasteurizer, which is just a heat exchanger. Now these 3 boxes are made in order to save energy, but we'll come in here, we'll initially warm up this milk, and so now we have some warm milk. It goes through the homogenizer, which is just a set of valves that are closed. And so you have to push the milk through hard enough to get past the valves, and that causes a lot of shear in the milk and makes all the big fat globules to be tiny fat globules. They get squeezed through and then they get misshapen, so they were big and then they get real small. And so now the cream or the fat can't rise to the top of the milk anymore. Now it's homogenized, it's not going to separate. So then we have our homogenized milk, it comes through, and then it comes through the pasteurizer and it goes through another section which brings it up to a very high temperature, okay? So this is where it's a heat exchanger, and on the other side of the heat exchanger is steam. And then we're going to get it up to, in the United States, we have to get it up to 161 Fahrenheit, and we have to keep it there for 15 seconds. So after a pasteurizer, they have something called holding tubes. And so, it stays in a tube for a while and then it comes out, and now it's time to cool the milk down. So then they actually use this pasteurized milk to warm up that milk initially, if you remember. And it also helps, the initial milk helps the pasteurized milk to cool down a little bit. And then it goes into another heat exchanger where it cools down the rest of the way to like a refrigerated temperature. And then it comes down, and then we go to some holding tank for a period of time, and then we send it to a packaging line to get filled, and to a carton or a jug or a bottle, whatever it is. And then it makes its way through distribution out to the grocery store and out to you, and you can use that milk for whatever you use milk for. All right, but we're not done, because we just touched on these fluid items that we can make. We can make skim, 1%, 2, whole, half and half, whipping cream, butter, probably some others in there. You can make variations like chocolate milk, which is delicious. But, we can make some other things too. So these are other processes, but other things that we make with milk are cultured products. So this is when we add bacteria and we get some other kind of product out of it. So we add bacteria and we can get sour cream, or we add a different kind of bacteria and we can get yogurt. Different kind get buttermilk, different kind and get kefir. We can get a different kind and we can get cottage cheese, a different kind and we can get cream cheese and Neufchâtel. And the difference there being that Neufchâtel is a lower fat milk going in, so it's a lower fat cheese coming out. Now, looking down here, we got different kinds of cheeses. We got fresh cheeses like queso fresco. fresh mozzarella. We have aged cheeses like maybe cheddar, and dry aged cheeses like a Romano or a Parmesan. Then let's not forget our frozen desserts. We can make ice cream, so we can freeze our cream, add sugar, add different things, fruit. We can make custards, and we can make frozen yogurt. Other things that we can make down here would be like your non-fat dry milk or your whole dry milk, whey, and we can also make casein. There are a couple of other ones that we make, but these are probably the ones that you'll see most often related to milk. So if you see these things on a label and you're allergic to dairy, then don't go for anything that has whey and don't go for anything that has casein. All right, I hope this is a nice little overview. We'll talk more later. Whoops, wrong button.